So welcome back, it's Keith here, and today, following up after that previous Jedi tier ranking video, we have our list here for the top Sith Lords tier ranking. Now just as a heads up, the way I'm going to rank these Sith Lords, this is already pre-made, I just found this template, but the way I'm going to rank them is by what they contribute to the Sith, not necessarily how powerful they are, although that will play some factor of course. So for example, if somebody's more powerful than another Sith Lord, but that Sith Lord actually had more of an impact throughout the story, they're going to be higher up, just because in terms of what it means to be a Sith Lord, they accomplish more than the person that they're competed against with. So I have the tiers here. We're going to be at the top tier, the full power of the dark side. Next after that is Sith Lord. Then we have our Master. Now I decided to throw in Inquisitor. And Inquisitor, because you're not necessarily a Sith, but you're on the right track. And you call yourself a Sith, as in, like, really, are you seriously in this list? It's a pretty short list, actually. Most of those tier lists that I found were all pretty short. So this is the one I thought looked the best, at least. So I'm going to go through, list them all off here. And then, however you may feel like I'm right, or if you have your own suggestions, go ahead and leave it in the comment down below. And let's get started. Starting at number 1, Darth Bane, easily. We got the full power of the dark side. Listen, Darth Bane was very powerful. We all know this. Of course, some of these I'm looking through the list already seem to be more powerful than Bane, but Bane is arguably the most contributable Sith to the Sith Order. He created the Rule 2, which helped preserve the Sith for thousands of years. So just from that, I mean, he's going up there at the top. And he's well respected and well known. Yeah, he's going up there. Darth Tyrannus. This is where the hate's going to come in. I'm playing him in Master. Now, he's powerful, arguably more powerful than Darth Bane in terms of combat and strength. But as a whole, he's really just a placeholder, honestly. He's a placeholder apprentice since Palpatine believed Maul had failed and died. And he was waiting on his true apprentice, Vader, to rise. So he found the next more powerful and more corruptible person that he could. And obviously, as we saw, I mean, he was executed by Anakin. So he was definitely very integral to the Clone Wars and to Palpatine's plan, but he himself was a pawn in the machine. So let's see. We have Darth Crait. Now, I'm not too caught up with what he did in Legends. I have seen some videos, never read it myself, but I'm going to go ahead and throw him into Master as well. Only because some things I know that he has done, he has accomplished quite a lot, actually, more than Dooku. But it'd be unfair for me to just throw him in there, because as much as I care, he wasn't really that much powerful, honestly. Like, I know power doesn't play a whole lot of factor, but he accomplished a decent amount. But in the end, he was just kind of one of those Legends villains that's kind of forgotten about, to be honest. Not too many people mention Darth Crait. Next up, we have Maul. You know what? Call me biased, because Maul is my favorite villain. He's in Sith Lord. Now, Maul actually accomplished quite a lot. Like, he survived longer than most of the people on this list, honestly. He had a longer tenure as a Sith than pretty much everybody, if you want to count it as a Sith. I mean, by the time he fell, he didn't really have a Sith Master anymore. But Maul himself, I mean, you saw he conquered Mandalore. I mean, he did a whole lot, like a whole lot. Defeated many Inquisitors. He definitely held his own, so I'm definitely going to throw Maul up there. Alright, next we have Vader. Full power to dark side. Vader probably has done more than almost everybody on the list, but the person coming up. I mean, he's synonymous. When you ask who is a Sith, 90% of people are going to think of Vader first. Like, Vader is synonymous with being a Sith. He's synonymous with the dark side. He's arguably one of the most intimidating and fearsome combatants and just characters in general in Star Wars. Arguably the greatest villain of all time in all media. So Vader has to go at the top. I mean, you're talking about Anakin Skywalker, one of the strongest duelists, strongest lightsaber combatants, and one of the strongest dark side users ever. So Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader is going to the top. And next we have all of the Sith himself, Palpatine. Yeah, it's fitting. You're going to be at the first. Now, don't think I'm just going to be throwing everybody up there. That's not the case. But let's be honest. Everything I said about Vader, you could say about his master, Palpatine. Palpatine took what Darth Bane started and fully fleshed out the idea of the rule of two and truly became all the Sith's history, abilities, power, all encapsulated into one man who selfishly used it on his own. So Palpatine speaks for himself. Exar Kun. Very powerful Sith Lord indeed. You're gonna go up there. So Exar Kun, he's really great throughout Legends. I mean, he's one of the most powerful Sith Lords ever, honestly. I can definitely see, he's not fully in the full power of the dark side. I would throw him in that category, but I feel like that would be unfair. Sith Lord, that fits him. Okay, Kylo Ren is in this list for some reason. He's not a Sith Lord. I hope the person that made this list know that. He's not a Sith, he's a Knight of Ren. But yeah, dude, you're gonna call yourself a Sith. Honestly, if I'm being honest, Kylo Ren is one of my favorite characters in all Star Wars. Honestly, he's one of my favorite characters in all Star Wars. But he's probably the weakest person on this list if we're being honest in terms of strength. But in terms of, he's not a Sith, so you can't really call yourself a Sith. So yeah, that's the place where you're in, buddy. All right, Darth Malak. Ooh. Okay, you're going up here in Master. Darth Malak was very great. He was a great villain, villain in KOTOR. Honestly, the reason I put him here is because although Malak is great and intimidating, he's honestly kind of seen as like in my opinion, he's just seen as the underling to me. Whenever I think of him, I think of Revan. And as you're about to see, Revan I think very highly of. So don't worry. No, I mean, he's great. He's accomplished a lot, but not really at the same time. I mean, he's one of those villains that's great in idea, but hasn't accomplished too much. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, no, she's Standing Master. Forget it. Standing Master. Ooh, we have my guy, Darth Malgus himself. Now, this is a Sith Lord. Malgus is probably my favorite Sith Lord of the Old Republic. Comparable to Revan. I like Revan a lot, but Malgus, he has accomplished so much. The guy is old as dirt, too. Like, the guy lived a very long life. Albeit, he was pretty damaged from all the fights they had, but he's taken out some of the most powerful Jedi of all time and lived to tell the tale. Some of the most powerful Sith of all time he's taken out. And this guy stood amongst them all. I mean, he might be dead. Well, he's definitely dead by, the Battle of Yavin, of course. But every time there's new expansion for Sator, the guy somehow lives. So, how does he get taken out? I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we have Naga Sadow. Ooh, you're going in this full power of the dark side. Naga Sadow is very slept on. Actually, yeah, what he's accomplished, yeah, he's going up there. Because even though he's very powerful, but not a lot of people know about who he is, he was almost defeated the Republic during the Great Hyperspace War. He was nearly at the cusp of taking them down. He accomplished a lot as a Sith alchemist, so he's definitely going up there. He's one of the earliest, most powerful Sith, honestly. So he's going up there. Darth Nihilus. You know what? Darth Nihilus is going up there in Sith Lord. Arguably, probably the most powerful Sith Lord on this list. Practically unkillable, except for the fact, I would say he is unkillable, except the fact that he died. So clearly that's not true. But he's known as the Devourer. He devoured entire worlds with his dark force energy. He speaks for himself in terms of power, but also in terms of how much people feared him throughout the galaxy. So definitely going up there that high. Darth Plagueis. You're going to Master. Darth Plagueis is pretty fine. I haven't read the Plagueis novel, which I heard is really good. Definitely want to tap into that. But Plagueis is okay. I don't know too much about that he's done other than being, mentioned in the prequel trilogy. But, he's the master of Sidious, or former master of Sidious until he was killed, but had to be powerful in his own right, of course. I'm sure he was a pretty formidable foe, but he was one of those Sith Lords that was in hiding during the World War II era, so he didn't accomplish too much, more so everything that he embodied was fulfilled by his apprentice. So that's why he's going there on the list. Darth Revan, easily going up to the top. You guys would probably be slamming me in the comments if I had made lower than that, but I agree. Darth Revan is arguably, I think of him like the Vader of the Old Republic. He's like that guy when it comes to the Old Republic. He's one of the strongest Jedi of all time. During his time as a Jedi, one of the strongest Sith of all time. He conquered through the Mandalorian Wars and went on to become one of the powerful Sith of all time. Arguably, probably, in terms of who fans love as Sith Lords, he's probably the most popular Sith Lord of all time, other than Vader. Like, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you probably know who Revan is, and you probably love him. So that's where you're going on the list. Well, next up, we have Snoke. I don't know if Snoke. I guess technically he's a genetic failed clone of Palpatine. So I guess technicality, he would be a Sith. He was pretty powerful, I'm not gonna lie. Even though the sequel trilogy didn't fully express how powerful he was, I mean, the guy had incredible future sight. Although, I got good enough to save him. We had incredible future sight, and he was very powerful in the Force. Where am I gonna put you? You're going Inquisitor. You're our first one in Inquisitor. I guess technically, you could call yourself a Sith buddy. I guess you win that technicality. But in terms of what he accomplished, he did create. He was a puppet, honestly. I can't even give him credit for creating the First Order. He didn't. It was all part of Palpatine's plan. He was just a pawn, a puppet, a placeholder while Palpatine was behind the scenes, literally prepping himself for a new body, prepping himself and planning. So I'm going to put you there, Snoke. Asajj Ventress, also an Inquisitor. Asajj isn't a Sith either. Although the reason I put her above Kylo Ren in this instance is at least her master was a Sith. So, in terms of what an Inquisitor actually is, the term Inquisitor, she pretty much fits that role, honestly. She fits the role of an Inquisitor. She's very powerful in her own right. She stood toe-to-toe with many Jedi during the Clone Wars and lived to tell the tale until her eventual death in the novel with her and Quinlan Voss. But overall, she's fine. She's going to Inquisitor. I feel like that fits. And last, we have Darth Vitiate. Now, this guy, I don't want to just throw everyone up there, honestly, but God, there's so many powerful Sith Lords. He's going up there as well. Darth Vitiate was one of the most feared Sith of all time. Arguably, if you look up, he's often regarded as the most powerful in terms of just raw force power and combat ability, second to none even. He was also immortal at the time while he was alive and couldn't be killed and nearly impossible to defeat unless you played through the Sator campaign and see how that all played out. But overall, Darth Vitiate is honestly the most powerful force user of all time, in my opinion, aside from those the father and son Abeloth and things like that. But yeah, overall, I would say he's definitely deserving of being the full power of the dark side. Now that we have all of our Sith here, go ahead and list it off. Pretty happy with the results we have here. I really like doing these tier listing, honestly. They're pretty cool, and I definitely have a few more planned out for the future, but not going to make that too much of a habit. Kind of just use those whenever the time comes up or whenever you guys recommend it. So go ahead and comment down below who your favorite Sith Lord is and how you feel about some of the Sith I have ranked here. If you would switch anything up or moving it around, I'd be happy to hear it out and take a look. So thanks for sticking by, and thanks for tuning in.